You've seen the Pinterest boards, the white farmhouse with black shutters, wraparound porch, rocking chairs facing a pasture at sunset, shiplap everything, maybe some chickens. The retirement dream sold to every burned out professional scrolling Zillow at 11 p.m., wondering how they'll ever afford to stop working. Here's what they don't tell you. That exact house in Vermont, $850,000. In Napa, $2.3 million. Even in affordable North Carolina, you're looking at $425,000 minimum, and it's been gut renovated by someone from Charlotte who watches too much HGTV. The farmhouse retirement dream has been gentrified into oblivion before you even get to tour it. But here's the thing, the dream isn't dead, it's just not where you've been looking. There are towns across America where actual farmhouses on actual land with actual front porches and actual quiet still exist for under $200,000. Some under $150,000, a few under $100,000, and no, they're not condemned meth labs. These are real places where real people are living the exact retirement you thought was reserved for trust fund kids and lifestyle influencers. We're talking Victorian farmhouses with original hardwood floors, acreage you can actually afford to maintain, towns where your neighbors know your name but don't need to know your business, communities with hospitals, grocery stores, and restaurants that aren't just gas station roller dogs, places where your retirement savings don't evaporate on property taxes alone. The trade-offs, they exist. You're not getting a Whole Foods or a 30-minute Uber. You're giving up some convenience, some culture, some of the infrastructure you've spent your whole life taking for granted, but you're getting something back that most retirees will never have. Actual financial peace, the ability to retire before 75, land, silence, the life you pinned on that board. So if you're serious about farmhouse retirement and you're tired of being priced out of your own dream, hit subscribe. We're about to visit 8 American towns where this actually works. Not aspirational content, not fantasy. Real towns, real prices, real life. Let's start in Tennessee. We're beginning in Henry County, Tennessee, population 10,000, about 90 minutes northwest of Nashville. Paris is your gentle entry into affordable farmhouse retirement, the town that proves you don't have to choose between charm and accessibility. The vibe here is classic small town South, downtown square with a courthouse, local diners serving plate lunches, Friday night football that matters more than most elections. And yes, there's a 60-foot Eiffel Tower replica complete with a red beret because someone in the 1990s had a sense of humor about the town's name. It's ridiculous. It's also kinda perfect. But here's why Paris works for farmhouse retirement. According to Zillow data, the median home price sits at $198,000. That's not a typo. For under $200,000, you're looking at actual farmhouses on actual acreage. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, wraparound porches, original hardwood floors that creak in all the right places. Homes that would cost $650,000 in the Nashville suburbs are sitting here for the price of a decent used RV. Redfin confirms that inventory includes properties with 5 to 10 acres, meaning you can have your garden, your privacy, and your chickens without signing over your retirement accounts. Property taxes in Henry County average around $800 annually on a $200,000 home. That's less than most people spend on streaming services. The cost of living index sits at 82, according to the Council for Community and Economic Research, with 100 being the national average. Your dollar stretches about 20% further here than in most of America. Groceries are cheaper. Gas is cheaper. You're not hemorrhaging money just to exist. Paris has Henry County Medical Center, a full-service hospital with emergency care and specialists. You're not entirely off the grid medically. There's a Walmart, a handful of local grocery stores, chain restaurants mixed with local spots. It's not Nashville, but you're also not dependent on a gas station for dinner. The climate is mild by southern standards. Summers hit the low 90s. Winters rarely dip below freezing. You get 4 seasons without the extremity of northern winters or the relentless heat of deeper south. Your garden will actually grow things. One local retiree told us off the record, people move here thinking it'll be boring. Then they realize boring is exactly what they paid for. No traffic, no noise, no HOA telling you your porch swing is the wrong shade of white. Picture this, early morning in Paris. You're on your farmhouse porch with coffee, watching fog lift off your back pasture. You hear birds, maybe a distant tractor, nothing else. Your mortgage payment payment is $950 a month, less than your old apartment parking spot costs. You've got Nashville close enough for culture when you want it, but far enough that it doesn't follow you home. Paris isn't perfect. It's quiet, genuinely quiet. If you need constant stimulation, nightlife, or ethnic food diversity, you'll be disappointed. The nearest airport is Nashville. Your Amazon deliveries might take an extra day, but if you're chasing the farmhouse dream without financial ruin, Paris is proof it exists. But what if you want even more authentic farm country, where the horizons stretch forever and the homes cost even less? From Tennessee hills, we drive west into pure Kansas prairie. Dodge City, population 27,000, sitting in Ford County in the southwestern corner of the state. This is Boot Hill country, where Wyatt Earp once kept the peace, and the landscape hasn't changed much since. If Paris was the comfortable introduction, Dodge City is where you find out if you're serious about farmhouse retirement or just in love with the aesthetic. Because out here, there's no faking it. This is agricultural America in its purest form. Grain elevators taller than most buildings, cattle ranches stretching to the horizon, wind that never stops, and skies so big they make you reconsider your place in the universe. Zillow data shows median home prices at $164,000. We're talking genuine prairie farmhouses, many of them original homesteads from the early 1900s, sitting on multiple acres with outbuildings and shops included. The kinds of properties that cost $450,000 in Colorado or $380,000 in Montana are available here for the price of a new SUV. According to the Dodge City Board of Realtors, properties routinely include 10 to 20 acres, some with pasture already fenced for livestock if you're ambitious. Property taxes average $1,100 annually on a $160,000 home. Your entire annual housing cost, mortgage, and taxes combined runs under $1,000 a month. That's not farmhouse retirement. That's financial independence. The cost of living index sits at 79, making Dodge City 21% cheaper than the national average. Groceries, utilities, and services all run significantly below what you'd pay in coastal or even mid-tier cities. Your retirement savings last longer because there's simply less to spend money on. Western Plains Medical Complex serves the region with full emergency services, specialists, and surgical capabilities. You're not entirely isolated medically, though you're definitely more on your own than in Paris. The town has Walmart, several local grocery stores, hardware stores, feed shops, and enough restaurants to avoid cooking every night. The climate is high plains arid. Summers hit the mid-90s, but it's dry heat, not the humid misery of the south. Winters drop into the teens with occasional snow, but nothing compared to northern states. What you will get is wind. Constant, relentless, soul-testing wind that will teach you to secure everything or watch it end up in Oklahoma. Fun fact, Dodge City is still a working cattle town. The National Beef Packing Company plant processes thousands of head daily, making this one of the largest cattle markets in America. You're not retiring to a historical theme park. You're retiring to a place that still does what it's always done. A realtor told us, people from the coast come out here and panic when they see the horizon. No mountains, no trees, just flat forever. Either you find that peaceful or you find that terrifying. There's no middle ground. The trade-offs are real. You're 2 hours from Wichita, 3 from Denver. Cultural amenities are limited to local theater groups and high school sports. The nearest hiking trail is a long drive. If you need forests, mountains, or ocean proximity, Kansas will break your heart. But if you want authentic farmhouse living where your costs are low enough that your retirement savings might actually outlive you, where you can see weather coming from 50 miles away and your nearest neighbor respects boundaries, Dodge City delivers. And if you thought Dodge was remote, wait until you see what happens when we go even deeper into the Kansas prairie. We're staying in Kansas, but going smaller, quieter, cheaper. Concordia, population 5,100, sitting in Cloud County in the north central part of the state. If Dodge City was authentic, Concordia is the place Dodge City residents visit when they want to get away from it all. This is the town people forget exists until they're driving across Kansas and stumble into it like a time capsule. Downtown brick buildings from the 1880s, the Cloud County Community College keeping some youth in the population, and the Brown Grand Theater, a restored opera house that still hosts performances because culture doesn't die high just because you're in the middle of nowhere. Here's where it gets interesting. Zillow shows median home prices at $127,000. We're now firmly below that $150,000 threshold, and we're not talking about teardowns. Victorian farmhouses with original woodwork, front porches wide enough for a full dining table, acreage included, sitting on the market for prices that sound like typos. According to local real estate listings, you can find 3-bedroom farmhouses on 5 acres for under $100,000. These aren't renovated Instagram fever dreams. These are working homes that need some attention, but are structurally sound, livable today, and cost less than a year of rent in most American cities. Property taxes average around $950 annually on a $125,000 home, according to the Cloud County Assessor's Office. You could own your home outright for $127,000 and pay less than $100 a month to keep it. The entire concept of being house poor doesn't exist here. The cost of living index sits at 76, making Concordia 24% cheaper than the national average. A gallon of milk, a tank of gas, a haircut all cost less. Your social security check or retirement pension goes further because there's nothing inflated about the local economy. Cloud County Health Center provides medical services including emergency care and basic specialties. Though for serious medical issues, you're looking at a drive to Salina, 45 minutes, or Manhattan, 60 minutes. This is where farmhouse retirement requires honest assessment of your health needs and your willingness to drive for care. The town has 2 grocery stores, a Walmart, local restaurants, and the essentials. What you won't find is variety. There's one of everything, maybe 2. Your dining options are American comfort food or American comfort food with a slightly different menu. The climate is pure Kansas continental. Hot summers in the 90s, cold winters in the 20s, spectacular spring thunderstorms that light up the sky like nature's own fireworks show. 4 distinct seasons, none of them subtle. One longtime resident summed it up perfectly. Concordia is cheap because there's nothing here to drive prices up. No tourists, no telecommuters, no industry beyond farming. If you're looking for action, you're in the wrong state. If you're looking to retire on $1,200 a month and still save money, welcome home. Picture this. Sunset in Concordia. You're sitting on your farmhouse porch, watching grain elevators cast long shadows across fields that stretch to the horizon. The sky turns pink, then orange, then purple. You hear nothing but wind and crickets. Your mortgage payment is $625 a month. Your property taxes are $79 a month. You're spending less on housing than most people spend on their phone bill. The isolation is real. You're not close to anything except more Kansas. The cultural scene is high school football and community theater. Your grocery store closes at 8 p.m. and there's no backup option. But your retirement account isn't shrinking. You're not stressed about money. You traded convenience for peace and came out ahead. Remember Paris, Tennessee with its Eiffel Tower and manageable remoteness? Concordia said, hold my grain elevator, and went all in on solitude and savings. If Paris felt affordable, Concordia feels like financial cheat codes. But what if you want some topography back in your life? What if flat horizons forever aren't your thing? From the Kansas plains, we drive southeast into the Ozark Mountains. Mountain Home, population 12,500, sitting in Baxter County in north central Arkansas along the White River and Norfolk Lake. This is where we reintroduce elevation, water, and some actual amenities after the Prairie Austerity tour. The vibe shifts immediately. Instead of grain elevators and endless flat, you get tree-covered hills, limestone bluffs, crystal clear rivers, and a lake that brings in enough retirees and tourists to support actual infrastructure. Mountain Home is what happens when affordable Arkansas meets outdoor recreation and retirement migration. Zillow data shows median home prices at $243,000, which seems like a jump after Concordia's $127,000, but context matters. You're getting Ozark views, lake access, and a town that actually has medical specialists and chain restaurants. Farmhouses on acreage run between $200,000 and $275,000, depending on proximity to the lake and condition. According to Redfin, properties with 5 to 10 acres are common, many featuring older homes with original character or newer builds designed in farmhouse style for the retiree market. You're paying more than Kansas, but you're getting mountains and water, which apparently cost extra even in Arkansas. Property taxes average around $1,400 annually on a $240,000 home, according to the Baxter County Assessor. Arkansas has relatively low property tax rates, and there's no state tax on Social Security income. income, making it a genuine retiree magnet. Your tax burden is significantly lower than most states. The cost of living index sits at 88, just 12% below the national average. Mountain Home costs more than the Kansas towns, but still delivers value. Groceries, gas, and services remain affordable, and your retirement income stretches further than in most places with similar natural amenities. Baxter Regional Medical Center is a full-service hospital with over 150 physicians, surgical services, cardiac care, and cancer treatment. This is the best medical infrastructure we've encountered so far. You're not driving 2 hours for a specialist. They're here. The town has multiple grocery stores, Walmart, chain restaurants, including some you've actually heard of, local eateries, hardware stores, and lake outfitters. The infrastructure exists because retirees have been moving here for decades, creating demand that keeps businesses viable. The climate is proper four-season Ozark. Summers reach the upper 80s and low 90s, but the elevation keeps it from feeling oppressive. Winters are mild, usually in the 30s and 40s, with occasional snow that melts fast. Spring and fall are spectacular, with the kind of colors and temperatures that make you understand why people retire here. Norfolk Lake offers 22,000 acres of water for fishing, boating, and swimming. The White River is a world-class trout fishery. You've got hiking trails, state parks, and outdoor recreation that rivals places costing twice as much. This is the rare affordable town that doesn't make you give up nature. A local real estate agent told us, "Mountain Home is what happens when retirees discover a place before developers ruin it. We're still affordable because we're not Branson, we're not Eureka Springs. We're the quiet Ozark town that works." Picture this, morning in Mountain Home. You're on your farmhouse deck watching fog rise off the hills. You smell pine and coffee. You hear the White River in the distance and a barge horn from the lake. Your mortgage is $1,150 a month. You've got hiking trails 10 minutes away, a hospital with actual cardiologists, and a Chili's if you're feeling fancy. You gave up the coast, but got the mountains back. The trade-offs are gentler here. You're still rural, still hours from a major city, still without a robust cultural scene, but the outdoor life compensates. If you're the kind of retiree who wants to fish, hike, and boat more than attend theater and museums, Mountain Home is the sweet spot. But what if you want mountains and southern culture and no state income tax on your retirement? We're heading back to Tennessee, but this time to the foothills of the Appalachians. Athens, population 14,000, sitting in McMinn County in southeast Tennessee, about 45 minutes north of Chattanooga. This is the town that balances affordability with accessibility, farmhouse charm with proximity to actual civilization. Athens sits in the Tennessee Valley, surrounded by low mountains and rolling farmland. The Hiwassee River runs through McMinn County. The landscape is green, lush, genuinely beautiful in a way that makes you understand why people write songs about Tennessee. Downtown Athens has a historic courthouse square, local shops, and the kind of brick architecture that signals permanence. Here's what makes Athens special. It's the only town on this list where you can attend the Tennessee Strawberry Festival every May, watch the entire town shut down for a parade, eat your weight in strawberry shortcake, and still own a farmhouse for less than a Tesla. The festival draws 80,000 people to a town of 14,000. It's absurd, charming, and perfectly Tennessee. Zillow shows median home prices at $267,000, the highest we've seen so far, but there's a reason. You're getting Appalachian foothills, you're 45 minutes from Chattanooga's amenities, and Tennessee has no state income tax. For retirees living on pensions, Social Security, and investment income, that tax advantage is worth thousands annually. According to local real estate data, farmhouses on 5 to 15 acres run between $240,000 and $320,000 depending on condition and views. You're paying for location and tax benefits, but you're still well below what comparable properties cost in North Carolina, Virginia, or Georgia mountain towns. Property taxes average around $1,600 annually on a $265,000 home per the McMinn County Trustee's Office. Combined with no state income tax, your overall tax burden is lower than most states. Tennessee designed its tax structure to attract retirees, and it works. The cost of living index sits at 91, just 9% below the national average. Athens costs more than Kansas or Arkansas, but you're getting proximity to Chattanooga, better infrastructure, and genuine mountain beauty. The price reflects the value. Star Regional Medical Center serves Athens with emergency care, surgery, and many specialties. For more complex medical needs, Chattanooga is 45 minutes away with multiple hospital systems and specialists in every field. You're covered medically without living in a major metro. Athens has full grocery options, Walmart, chain restaurants, restaurants, local diners, hardware stores, and the basics. You're not sacrificing convenience. The town functions as a regional hub for surrounding rural areas, meaning services exist to support a broader population. The climate is southern Appalachian. Summers hit the upper 80s and low 90s with humidity that's real but not Gulf Coast oppressive. Winters are mild, typically in the 40s and 50s, with occasional snow that's more decorative than disruptive. Spring and fall are stunning, with dogwoods, redbuds, and mountain laurel putting on shows that rival New England without the property taxes. The Cherokee National Forest is close for hiking and outdoor recreation. The Hiwassee River offers paddling and fishing. You've got mountain views without mountain isolation. It's the Appalachian experience without requiring a Subaru and a willingness to live off-grid. A local retiree told us, "We looked at Asheville, looked at the Smokies, looked at North Georgia. Everywhere else we'd be house poor. Athens gave us the mountains, the climate, and a mortgage we could actually pay off." Picture this: afternoon in Athens. You're on your farmhouse porch watching clouds move over the Appalachian foothills. You smell fresh-cut hay from a neighbor's field. You hear cicadas and a distant lawnmower. Your mortgage is $1,280 a month, and you're paying 0 state income tax on your retirement. Chattanooga is close enough for a symphony or a nice dinner. The Smokies are an hour away for weekend trips. You found the balance. The trade-offs are minimal compared to previous towns. You're still rural, but not remote. You're still affordable, but not cheap. Athens is the compromise that doesn't feel like settling. If Mountain Home gave you water and hills, Athens gives you culture and tax breaks. Both cost more than Kansas, but sometimes paying slightly more means keeping significantly more. But what if you're willing to go deeper into the Ozarks for even more beauty and even more solitude? From Tennessee foothills, we drive northwest back into the Ozarks, but this time to the heart of Missouri's wildest country. Salem, population 4,900, sitting in Dent County in the south central part of the state. This is current river country, Mark Twain National Forest territory, the place you go when you're done with people and ready for trees. Salem is deep rural in a way the previous towns only hinted at. You're surrounded by national forests, spring-fed rivers that run so clear you can count rocks on the bottom, caves, hiking trails, and a landscape that looks like it was designed specifically for hermits and retirees who've had enough of humanity. The vibe is pure Ozark. Small downtown, local diners, a Walmart that serves as the regional shopping hub, and a population that mostly leaves you alone unless you need help, in which case they'll show up with tools and casseroles. This is genuine rural Missouri, the kind of place where people still wave from their trucks. Zillow data shows median home prices at $186,000, but that number includes in-town properties. Farmhouses on acreage outside Salem run significantly cheaper. According to local listings, you can find older homes on 10 to 40 acres for between $150,000 and $220,000. We're talking real land, real privacy, real forest. Property taxes average around $1,100 annually on a $185,000 home per the Dent County assessor. Missouri has relatively low property tax rates, and your overall housing costs remain well below national averages. You can own significant acreage and still pay less monthly than most people spend on rent. The cost of living index sits at 81, making Salem 19% cheaper than the national average. Groceries, gas, utilities all cost less because you're far from anywhere that inflates prices. Your retirement savings stretch further because the local economy hasn't discovered inflation yet. Salem Memorial District Hospital provides emergency care and basic services, but for specialists or complex care, you're driving to Rolla, 45 minutes, or Springfield, 90 minutes. This is where you need to be honest about your health and your willingness to drive for medical care. If you have chronic conditions requiring frequent specialist visits, Salem might not work. The town has Walmart, a couple of grocery stores, local restaurants, gas stations, and the basics. What you won't find is variety or options. There's one of everything, and if you don't like it, you're out of luck. Your dining choices are limited. Your shopping options are minimal. You're trading convenience for land and solitude. The climate is four-season Ozark with more temperature swing than Arkansas. Summers hit the low 90s with humidity. Winters drop into the 20s with occasional ice storms that can knock out power for days. Spring brings severe weather, including tornadoes. Fall is spectacular. You get real seasons. Emphasis on real. The Current River is one of the most beautiful waterways in America, spring-fed and cold even in summer. Mark Twain National Forest offers endless hiking, camping, and solitude. You're surrounded by natural beauty that rivals western states without western prices. Fun fact, Dent County has more caves than people. The Ozarks sit on karst topography, meaning the ground is basically Swiss cheese. You can explore caves, hike bluffs, and float rivers without seeing another human for hours. A local told us, people move to Salem for 3 reasons. They're running from something, they're looking for something, or they're done with everything and just want to be left alone. All 3 are valid. Picture this, dawn in Salem, you're on your farmhouse porch watching mist rise off your pond. You hear whippoorwills, woodpeckers, and absolutely nothing else. Your property line is marked by National Forest. Your mortgage is $850 a month. The nearest stoplight is 20 miles away. You traded civilization for peace and didn't look back. The isolation is total. You're over an hour from anything resembling a city. Your internet is satellite or fixed wireless, meaning streaming is possible but not seamless. Your Amazon deliveries take extra days. If you need constant stimulation, diverse food options, or regular human interaction, Salem will feel like exile. But if you're ready to commit to deep rural retirement, if you want land and forest and rivers more than you want restaurants and culture, Salem is the Ozark dream on a realistic budget. Concordia was flat and cheap. Dodge was authentic prairie. Salem is what happens when you take that same commitment to solitude but add mountains, caves, and rivers. It's not easier. It's more beautiful. At least in Concordia, you could see trouble coming from 20 miles away. But what if you want farmhouse retirement where trouble already came and left behind Victorian mansions at yard sale prices? We're driving south into the Mississippi Delta, into cotton country and blues history and economic reality that hits like a freight train. Clarksdale, population 15,000, sitting in Coahoma County in the northwestern corner of Mississippi. This is Robert Johnson's Crossroads, the birthplace of the blues, and the most complicated entry on this entire list. Clarksdale is dirt cheap in a way that makes every previous town look expensive. We're talking Victorian farmhouses on multiple acres for under $100,000. Homes with original details, wraparound porches, and historical significance sitting on the market for months because nobody's buying. The prices are real, the homes are real, and the reasons they're available are real too. Zillow shows median home prices at $98,000. That's not a foreclosure average or a distressed market spike. That's the actual median. According to Redfin, you can find 3-bedroom historic homes on acreage for $65,000 to $120,000. These are houses that would cost $800,000 in Charleston or $650,000 in Savannah. Here, they cost less than a new pickup truck. Property taxes average around $750 annually on a $95,000 home per the Coahoma County tax assessor. You could buy a house outright for under $100,000 and pay $62 a month in property taxes. The financial math is absurd. You could retire on Social Security alone and still save money. The cost of living index sits at 73, making Clarksdale 27% cheaper than the national average and one of the most affordable places in America. Groceries, utilities, gas, all bottom tier pricing. Your retirement income goes further here than almost anywhere else in the country. So why isn't everyone moving here? Because the trade-offs aren't just inconveniences, they're fundamental quality of life questions. Clarksdale sits in one of the poorest regions in America. The poverty rate hovers around 35% according to US Census data. The median household income is $28,000. The economic opportunities that left decades ago haven't returned. You're moving to a place where economic decline is the norm, not the exception. Northwest Mississippi Regional Medical Center provides care, but the hospital has faced financial struggles and service reductions. For complex medical needs, you're driving to Memphis 80 minutes. Healthcare access is real but limited. The climate is deep south brutal. Summers are swampy, humid, relentlessly in the 90s with heat indices over 100. Winters are mild but damp. The Delta sits in a floodplain, meaning water is always a consideration. You're hot, humid, and occasionally worried about the river. Crime rates are higher than previous towns on this list, according to FBI data. It's not dangerous in the sense of active war zones, but property crime and economic desperation create risks that don't exist in Kansas or the Ozarks. But here's what Clarksdale has. Culture. Real, deep, authentic American culture. The blues were born here. Ground Zero Blues Club, Red's Lounge, live music that matters. The Delta Blues Museum, literary history through Tennessee Williams and Morgan Morgan Freeman's presence. This isn't manufactured heritage tourism. This is the real thing. A local musician told us, Clarksdale is for people who can handle hard truths. It's cheap because it's struggling. It's beautiful because it's real. If you need everything to be easy, go somewhere else. If you can appreciate complexity, welcome to the Delta. Picture this. Evening in Clarksdale. You're on your Victorian porch watching the sunset over cotton fields that stretch forever. You smell magnolias and hear blues guitar from a juke joint down the road. Your mortgage payment is $480 a month. You own a piece of American history for less than most people's car payment. The beauty is real. The struggle is real. Both are true. The decision to retire in Clarksdale isn't about money. The money is absurdly favorable. It's about whether you can handle living in a place that's beautiful and broken at the same time. It's about whether you're comfortable being part of a community dealing with generational poverty, limited services, and economic challenges that won't be fixed in your lifetime. If you can make peace with that complexity, Clarksdale offers farmhouse retirement at prices that literally don't exist anywhere else with this much character. If you need stability, security, and reliable infrastructure, the Delta will break your heart. We've seen affordable and accessible in Paris. We've seen dirt cheap in Kansas. We've seen nature in the Ozarks and culture in the Delta. But what if I told you there's one more town where you don't have to choose? Where you can have the farmhouse dream, Victorian architecture, a lake, and functional infrastructure, all for less than Athens cost. We end in Alabama, in a town most people have never heard of, and that's exactly why it works. Eufaula, population 13,000, sitting in Barber County in the southeast corner of Alabama along the Chattahoochee River and Walter F. George Lake. This is the reveal, the twist, the place that proves the farmhouse retirement dream isn't dead. It's just been hiding in Alabama this whole time. Paris had charm, but you gave up the coast. Kansas gave you land, but you gave up topography. Mountain Home and Athens balanced well, but cost more. Salem was beautiful, but isolated. Clarksdale was cheap, but struggling. Every town so far required compromise. Eufaula is the place that breaks the pattern. Eufaula is stunning in a way that catches you off guard. The Bluff City Historic District features over 700 antebellum and Victorian homes, many along tree-lined streets overlooking the lake. This isn't one or two historic properties. This is an entire town that looks like it wandered out of a time machine and decided to stay. The vibe is Southern genteel without the pretension. People dress up for church. The annual pilgrimage tour brings visitors through historic homes. There's culture, history, and community pride that hasn't been strip-mined by tourism because Eufaula somehow stayed under the radar. Zillow shows median home prices at $214,000, which lands right in the middle of our range. But here's what you're getting for that price. Victorian farmhouses on acreage with lake views, original details, wraparound porches, and architectural significance. According to local listings, properties with 5 to 10 acres run between $190,000 and $280,000. These are homes that would cost $750,000 in Mobile, $850,000 in Charleston, over $1 million in Savannah. Here, they're sitting at prices where you can pay cash from the sale of your starter home in most American cities. Property taxes average around $1,200 annually on a $210,000 home, per the Barber County Revenue Commissioner. Alabama has relatively low property taxes, and there's no state tax on Social Security income or pensions from certain employers. Your retirement income keeps more of itself. The cost of living index sits at 84, making Eufaula 16% cheaper than the national average. You're getting affordability without the extreme isolation or economic depression of some earlier towns. Medical Regional Hospital at Eufaula provides emergency care and basic services, with Columbus, Georgia, 45 minutes away for specialists and advanced care. You're not medically isolated. You have options. The town has Walmart, Publix, local grocery stores, chain restaurants, local diners, and actual shopping options. The infrastructure exists because the town functions as a regional center. You're not dependent on one of everything. You have choices. The climate is southern but moderated by the lake. Summers are hot, upper 80s to low 90s, but the water keeps it from being unbearable. Winters are mild, typically in the 50s with rare freezes. Spring and fall are spectacular, with azaleas, dogwoods, and the kind of weather that makes you want to live outside. Walter F. George Lake offers 45,000 acres of water for fishing, boating, and swimming. The base fishing is world class. The lake brings in enough tourism to support marinas, restaurants, and services without overwhelming the town. You get recreation without resort pricing. Fun fact, Eufaula is known as the bass capital of the world and hosts professional fishing tournaments regularly. You're retiring to a place where people come to vacation, but you're paying local prices, not tourist prices. The Shorter Mansion, Fendall Hall, Hart House, these aren't museums pretending to be homes. These are actual residences in a living historic district. You can buy a piece of that history and live in it for less than a suburban McMansion costs in Atlanta. A realtor told us, Eufaula is the secret nobody wants to tell because once people find out, the prices will jump. We're cheap because we're in Alabama, and people have preconceptions. But the quality of life here rivals towns costing twice as much. Picture this. Morning in Eufaula. You're on your Victorian porch watching the sun rise over the lake. Spanish moss hangs from live oaks. You smell gardenias and coffee. You hear bass boats heading out and church bells from downtown. Your mortgage is $1,050 a month. You own a piece of southern architecture that would be unaffordable anywhere else. You can fish from your own dock, walk to restaurants, and still have money left over at the end of the month. This is the circular callback to the opening. Remember the Pinterest board? The white farmhouse dream you thought was dead. Eufaula is proof it's alive. You just had to stop looking in Vermont and North Carolina and discover that Alabama had it all along. The trade-offs exist, but they're manageable. You're still rural, still in the South, still hours from a major metro. The cultural scene is local, not cosmopolitan. Your dining options are southern-focused. But unlike Clarksdale, the infrastructure works. Unlike Salem, you're not isolated. Unlike Kansas, you have water and trees. Unlike everywhere else, you can actually afford it. Eufaula is the farmhouse retirement dream that works because it combines affordability, beauty, amenities, and community in a ratio that shouldn't exist but does. You're not giving up everything for cheap housing. You're getting cheap housing with most of the things that make life worth living. So here's what we learned driving through 8 American towns where farmhouse retirement actually works. The dream isn't dead. It's just not in the places lifestyle magazines told you to look. It's in Tennessee, not Vermont. It's in Kansas, not Colorado. It's in Alabama, not the Carolinas that priced out everyone who doesn't have tech money or generational wealth. Paris gives you southern charm with accessibility. Dodge and Concordia deliver authentic prairie life at prices that sound fictional. Mountain Home and Athens balance nature with infrastructure. Salem offers deep Ozark solitude. Clarksdale trades stability for culture and rock-bottom prices. And Eufaula proves you can have beauty, affordability, and amenities if you're willing to retire in Alabama instead of chasing the same overdiscovered spots everyone else wants. The pattern is clear. Affordable farmhouse retirement exists in places that haven't been discovered by remote workers, haven't been gentrified by wealthy retirees, and haven't been turned into Airbnb portfolios. These towns work because they're still working towns. The trade-offs are real. You're giving up convenience, variety, and proximity to major metros. You're gaining financial stability, land, quiet, and the ability to retire before you're too old to enjoy it. If you're serious about farmhouse retirement, hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling us which town surprised you or which one you'd actually consider. Share this with anyone scrolling Zillow at midnight wondering how they'll ever afford to stop working. The farmhouse dream is alive. You just have to be willing to find it in places you hadn't considered.